कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकि कोकिलम्। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेधसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीताया पतये नमः। जयत्याश्रितसन्त्रास ध्वान्तविध्वंसनोदयः प्रभावान् सीतया देव्या परमव्योमभास्करः परमव्योमभास्करः।
श्रीमते निगमान्त महादेशिकाय नमः। Gayatri Ramayanam is essentially one of the works picked up from the verses of the original Valmiki Ramayanam that says how Valmiki, the great Maharishi, was able to induce Gayatri Mahamantram in the Ramayana shlokas. Gayatri Mantram, the Surya Gayatri, Savitri begins with Tatsaviturva. Then what about Bhurabhuva Swaha? That is a Vyakriti. So that is an introduction to the mantra. So, in the incidents described by Valmiki in the Ramayana, we have seen how Vibhishana tried giving words of advice to his brother, but Ravana did not heed to the words of his brother. That is when Vibhishana says that when you are on the verge of death, words of wisdom told by your own kith and kin will never reach your ears, Ravana. You are on the verge of death. You have invited death by abducting Sita and by bringing forth Rama's wrath, and then you have invited death. So I don't wish to stay in this Lanka where the administrator himself is an adharmika. So he relinquishes his riches and leaves Lanka Pradesham to come to Bharata Desham. As he reaches Bharata Desham, Sugriva resists Vibhishana joining their part because he feels that he is a mole in the army. That is when he goes and informs to Rama and conveys his opinion that Vibhishana should not be given asylum. Angada, Jambavan and rest of the Vanaras too concur with this thought that Vibhishana is bad and he shouldn't be given asylum. On the other hand, Hanuman, who has had the first-hand report of having visited Lanka, says with all humility that Vibhishana is good and he has to be given asylum. Rama says his concluding statement that even if Vibhishana is bad, he will still accept him because that is Sharanagati Dharmam. Sakrityeva prapannayat tavasmiti chayachate abhayam sarva bhutebhyaha dadam etad pratam mama. This is my vow. As he says so, and he further does a prayopavesham waiting for the command of Samudra Raja, and he doesn't receive him. He gets angry and says, Chapamanaya Saumitre. Then when the Ocean King seeks asylum at Rama's feet, Rama asks Nala and the other Vanaras to construct the Setu between Bharata Desham and Lanka. As the Setu was being constructed, and then they reached Lanka Pradesham, Angada goes as the messenger of Rama to Ravana. He says, Dharmatma rakshasam sreshtha sampraptoyam vibhishanaha lankaishwaryam dhruvam shriman ayam prapnotya kantakam. And sure, Ravana, when you are not listening to the advice of neither Hanuman nor me, nor of your brother Vibhishana, understand that the Dharmatma brother of yours called Vibhishana shall be the one who will be enjoying the comforts of Lanka and shall rule Lanka for the goodwill of his citizens in the future. You will be dead very soon, Ravana said. Angada, the bright son, the valorous son of Vani. Dharmatma rakshasam sreshtha sampraptoyam vibhishanaha lankaishwaryam dhruvam shriman ayam prapnotya kantakam. This is the 16,001st verse, 16001. Next, as the Yuddham begins, Indrajit and the other Rakshasas and even Ravana, they tried to play various tricks on Rama's side in order to demotivate them, in order to make them feel that they have to exit the battlefield. So Nagastra Prayogam was done. That is when Garuda comes to their rescue. Again the Nagastra Prayogam was then. When they were swooned, Garuda Pandita and Jambavan insist that Hanuman has to go fetch 4 kinds of herbs, Santarakarani, Sandhani, Mrita Sanjeevani, Sanjeevani, from the foothills of the Kailasha Parvatam in a small hillock called as Sanjeevani. Hanuman brings the hillock itself, and with the smell of it, they all pick up rice. This particular incident later leads to the Ravana who is struck by the Vajrayudha, and he is extremely bruised because of Rama's arrows. Yo Vajrapata Shani Sannipatan na Chukshubhena Pichachala Raja Sarama Bana Bhihato Brishatarschachala Chapam Chamumo Chaviraha. So he realizes and understands the pain of Rama's arrows. Then he goes back with further energy and he comes on the next day in order to fight Rama in the Yuddha Bhumi. Rama shows severe valor of his all the Divyastram that he had received from Vishwamitra and Agastya. That is when many Rakshasas lost their lives because of Rama's anger, and Ravana was shocked to see Rama play havoc on the battlefield. That is when he tells his Sainyam, then the person whom we are seeing in front of us is no ordinary person. Yasya vikramamasadya rakshasani dhanam gataha tammanye raghavam ribiram narayanamanayam. I feel that the Narayana whom we read as Paramatma and Parabrahmam in our texts has incarnated or come in the form of Rama, because Rama seems to show that kind of an unsurpassed strength, prowess and valor. So, as the Yuddham was happening, it was such a fierce Yuddham. Rama Ravanayor Yuddhe Rama Ravanayor Iva. Later we are going to see how Valmiki is going to describe this Yuddham. He says, if at all we have to search for a simile of how the Yuddham between Rama and Ravana happened. The only simile you will get is their very own Yuddham, Rama Ravanayor Iva. So, while the Yuddham was happening, Rama shoots one astra after the other, and then there were many incidents like Nikumbala Yagam. In the Nikumbala Yagam, Lakshmana was able to stop for Devi's grace should not fall on Indrajit, and Indrajit was dead too. And that is when Ravana thought it is high time that he comes, and Rama uses the Gandharvastra Prayogam. That is, the Gandharvastra would make people unconscious, and that is where the shlokam 19,001th shlokam is born. Nate drishashire ramam dahantam arivahinim mohitaha paramastrena Gandharvena Mahatmana. Gandharvena Mahatmana. This particular astram of Gandharvastram is released on them. They all fall unconscious. So, Rama has been able to vanquish all of them, has been able to cause havoc on the battlefield, thereby eliminating the enemy Sainyam. So, when Ravana was finally dead, Rama shot an arrow at Ravana, and finally Ravana was dead. That is when his wife, Mandodari comes and starts initially abusing Rama, and then she praises him. Vyaktavesha Mahayogi Paramatma Sanatanaha Anadi Madhya Nidhanaha Tamasap Paramo Mahan Tavasaf Paramo Dhata Shankachakra Gadadharaha Srivatsavakshaha Nityashrihi Ajayaha Shashvato Dhruvaha. She praises Rama. And Rama makes Vibhishana the heir apparent. Now the Raja. Now when Vibhishana is made the Raja, that is when Rama asks Vibhishana to go and inform the news to Sita and asks Hanuman to bring Sita. So Hanuman goes and informs the victory news, and when Vibhishana goes, he is being commanded by Rama to ask Sita to come very well dressed in her silk clothes with beautiful jewelry, where Sita was still amused as to why is he telling me so like this. She thought it is high time that she respects the words of Rama and goes the way he has asked. So she drapes herself in a beautiful sari and then she has to go. What will happen after this? This particular controversial, not for Valmiki or any of our Purvacharyas, for all the modern day journalists, research scholars, so-called research scholars soaked in wokeism, for them, this incident becomes a very controversial one called as Agni Pariksha. So when we deal with Yuddha Kandam in detail, further we will deal with Agni Pariksha. But when does this feature in the Gayatri Ramayana? For that, you will have to listen to the 21st verse, which is the 20,001th verse, which will happen in the next episode.
Jayatyashruta santrasa dhvanta vidvamsa nodayaha prabhavan sitaya devya paramavyoma bhaskaraha. Ramayana is such a beautiful itihasa sreshtham that links different parts of Bharatadesham, and just not Bharatam, different parts of the subcontinent. 292 episodes in simple English for 15 minutes every day on the Ramayana. We began on the Rama Navami and we are going to conclude on the Makara Shankaranti Uttarayana Punyakala. This is a lamp that you see in front of me. My great grandfather, my mother's father's father, Pundi, Sri Rangaswamy Iyengar, used to recite the verses of the Valmiki Ramayana religiously every day for 365 days a year for a period of 40 years. And this is the lamp that he used to light. And here are the two bound books which are over 100 years old, which he used to read the verses of the Ramayana from. And here is the wooden stand, the book stand that he used to keep the Ramayana in. Fortunately, I have bequeathed all of them. My great-grandfather was called Pattabhirama Iyengar. My maternal grandfather was called Veera Raghavan. My daughter is named after Sita Devi as Kshitija. Everything in our family has an association with the Ramayana. I am sure, 100% sure, each of you will have an association with the Ramayana, either with a name, either in the form of a book, either in the form of a lamp, either in the form of a beautiful murti of Rama, either in the form of a beautiful painting of Rama. So let's use the hashtag Ramayana for us and tag and let us know how much each of us have loved Rama, Sita, the entire Rama Parivar and the Ramayana. This is a moment which we can create with very little efforts from our side till the inauguration of the grand Sri Rama Janmabhoomi temple. Jai Shri Ram.
Namaskara Mastikas. I'm tentatively scheduled to travel to Abu Dhabi and Dubai in the mid-February, to 7 cities in the countries of Australia and New Zealand, namely Adelaide, Perth, Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, Auckland and Wellington between the 25th of February and the 25th of March. I'm scheduled to travel to Singapore either in the month of April or January, and later I'll be rendering discourses in New Jersey, Boston, Maryland, Pittsburgh, and then in St. Louis and Indianapolis in the month of July. I'm sure you would love to share this message with your friends and relatives.
Dear Astika reader, I'm happy to be authoring a 2-part book on the Ramayana in English. The first part is slated for release in the year 2024. The book aims to recreate and retell the Ramayana of Valmiki, conforming to the ancient commentaries and other allied literature. To receive notifications of the book release, kindly register with www.deshikadaya.org/books. Namaskaram.